Let's see if there's anyone else to talk to. I should talk to Abelard. Alright, so we still need to talk to him.
The auger calibration ritual is complete. Tech priests are heading to the life support chambers.
Okay.
Reports received. Confirm that verification is complete.
Alright. I'd like to know more about my seneschal.
As you wish, Lord Captain. What would you like to know?
Well, I understand you're quite a competent administrator. Alright, tell me more about yourself. What were you before you became Lady Theodora's seneschal?
I used to be an officer in the Navis Imperialis.
I believe that.
No. "There used to be" is not quite right. It was not simply a job. It was my calling, the essence of my life. I was proud to serve Lord Captain Theodora, but in my heart and mind, I'm still an officer of the Imperium.
It's odd that you would leave, though.
I met Lord Captain Theodora on a mission where the Imperial Navy was providing reinforcement to the rogue traders' army on one of the frontier worlds.
Okay.
Our acquaintance was not easy. Working with people outside the Navy hierarchy has never been my strong suit. It was to my great surprise then that after the mission's completion, I received a referral to leave my service in the Navy and join the rogue traders' personal council. It was a difficult choice for me. But I saw in the offer a chance to serve the interests of humanity even more effectively than in the Navis Imperialis. You do not need me to tell you just how remarkable a person Lord Captain Theodora was. I recognized her at once as a true leader and formidable creative force. One who had built a protectorate amidst the dangers and wildness of the expanse.
Okay. Leaving the Imperial Navy is far from easy. Why were you permitted to quit your post?
You could say there was no one among the naval command who was willing to impede the wishes of the rogue trader.
Understood.
To do so would be to risk their own position and their relationship with Theodora. Well, the Lord Captain possessed certain contacts in the Imperial Navy. Contacts which she used to request help during the conflict on the border world. And which enabled her to make me an offer that resulted in my joining her retinue.
Okay.
The Navis Imperialis is an ancient institution with its own mandates and muster lists. On occasion, in the heat of an official briefing or an informal discussion, I violated those rules, determined to press my point. It is challenging to choose the words to accurately express my opinion on a situation or the actions of others that do not sound overly scathing or confrontational. Many in command were inclined to view my manner of speaking as unbefitting a person of my rank.
Okay. Wow. The way you talk about Lady Theodora, I'm beginning to think you're in love with her.
What? Lord Captain, any allegations of improper feelings or unsanctioned relations are utterly baseless and bordering on the insulting. Utterly baseless.
Alright, I best not jest with him. Okay, do you have family?
I am a widower. I am a father of 4, and if my information is not outdated, a grandfather of 11. My family lives on Dargonus.
It's from Dargonus.
None of my children express any eagerness or aptitude for serving aboard ship, and I would hardly have insisted that they follow in my footsteps.
Okay. And I certainly wasn't mean to be implying anything by that. Thank you. You have no more questions.
Of course.
Right. Let's talk about things that may be useful to me as a rogue trader.
A noble aspiration, Lord Captain. I am ready to acquaint you with all the particulars that interest you.
Okay, so outline the situation here in the Coronis Expanse for me. What do I need to know and keep in mind?
This is a topic for an official briefing, not a casual conversation.
Understood.
But I will try to answer succinctly. And if you permit, in my own words, the Coronis Expanse is considerably removed from the heart of the Imperium. This means that local warp routes become useless within months. Established pathways are regularly subject to attacks from all kinds of rabble. And in the only major port, the Imperium's frigates find themselves moored alongside pirate vessels. Until recently, the Coronis Expanse could hardly have been called a region of the Imperium. The situation has changed with the arrival of the Lord Inquisitor, but not by much. This place operates under its own rules, you see. More radical, so to speak. But ones that allow for a non-standard approach where there is a promise of victory. The Coronis Expanse is considered rogue trader territory for a reason. Only rogue traders have sufficient military might, audacity, and the rights granted them by the warrant to survive the leap into the unexplored part of the Expanse, and in the event of a successful outcome, to hold on to whatever they manage to capture on the frontier.
What are the main players that need to be aware of in the Coronis Expanse?
In the first instance, you should treat official representatives of the Imperium with respect. The Expanse may be on the fringes, but it still numbers among the territories of the Golden Throne. The arrival of the Lord Inquisitor has turned the Coronis Expanse into a less wild and uncontrolled region, to the regret of some individuals who had grown inured to the local lawlessness. Rogue traders such as yourself are also servants of the Imperium. They have been accorded special rights and powers. They wield immense authority within their territory, and they enjoy absolute respect in other parts of the Expanse. The most powerful of them are Kalagos Winterscale and Incendia Bastal Chorda. Tread carefully when dealing with either of them. If we are to speak of unclaimed territory, which is what Footfall is, among the scum that dwells on that handful of asteroids, there are 3 factions that wield considerable influence in the sector. The first is the Kazbalaka Mission, organized crime in its most primitive form. It holds sway over the Liege of Footfall and has links to rogue trader Winterscale. The second faction is an offshoot of our shining ecclesiarchy, followers of St. Drusus. They are actively building their forces and hold influence over rogue trader Chorda. And finally, the third faction, the Explorators, a wing of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are willing to die and kill for the secrets of the ancient technological heresies that are hidden among the stars of the Coronis Expanse.
Technological heresies? Alright, so Conrad, our previous Master of Whispers, can you tell me about his betrayal? What do you think he will do next?
You know, Lord Captain, I am no admirer of fine art. But when we next find ourselves in a civilized port, with time to spare, I will promptly find an artist and commission a portrait of the individual to whom you refer, with a hole between the eyes. Conrad Voigtveer. That he committed his treachery and escaped with his life was an unforgivable oversight.
Oops. What?
We both served Lord Captain Theodora for many years, and we never saw eye to eye. He was brash. He was never afraid of assuming responsibility, and he willingly took on difficult tasks. I am loath to admit it, but the Von Valancius Protectorate continues to reap the fruits of his labors to this day. His service always garnered my respect. But everything else about him made me want to wring the neck of that two-faced snake. If you are taking comfort in the thought that we will hear no more of Conrad, prepare to be disappointed. You thwarted his plans, his meticulously plotted and nurtured treachery. He is sure to attempt to strike at you, and he will use his contacts and knowledge of the Protectorate to do so. The only question, Lord Captain, is
when.
whether you will be able to anticipate his next steps.
That's for all now.
As you wish, Lord Captain.
May call me by first name if you wish.
I thank you for the honor, but I must decline.
Understood.
As a former military officer, I believe in the importance of order in all things, including the chain of command. You are the Lord Captain, my direct superior. I am not prepared to address you in any way other than as regulation dictates.
That's fine. That's what you feel comfortable with. Okay, I must take my leave until next time, Seneschal.
Lord Captain.
Alright. Is it regulation sloop? Yeah. He is a valuable asset. I know he is. So I'll have to keep in
Greetings,
mind
Lord Captain.
that he most certainly wants to go after Conrad. Now, next person we need to speak to.
O great
is-
child of the Omnisia. May thine holy connections be guarded against the evils of entropy. Let the sacred oils soothe thine articulations. Let the incantations of the protocol rouse thine heart. Let the blessing of the Omnisia course through thy circuitry. Praise be to the machine god.
It's so ridiculous. This
The
city-
vessel stands ready, Lord Captain.
Thank you. You know. Yes.
Lord
Keep
Captain.
us- Keep us safe, machine. Okay, so going the wrong way.
Greetings, Lord Captain.
The auger calibration ritual is complete. Tech priests are heading to the life support chambers. The auger calibration ritual is complete. Tech priests are heading to the life support chambers. The vessel stands ready, Lord Captain.
Thank you. There's the helmsman.
Your Lordship.
Master Helmsman Revere.
The tall man before you appears to be woven from tendons and muscle. Blue veins snake under his white, almost dove-colored skin, and his scalp and chin are covered in cropped white hair. His neck and shoulders are wrapped in wires that hint at the presence of neural connectors under his uniform. The officer's face seems to be twisted in a perpetual grimace of annoyance and anger, but he greets you with a respectful nod.
Lord Captain. Master Helmsman Raver, at your service.
Okay, you're Voidborn, are you not?
That I am. Born into a helmsman clan in the bowels of a Chartist vessel. Studied the family trade until I was 15, then my entire clan was butchered in a mutiny by lower hold scum.
Oh,
They spared the youngings, of course they did. Kids with implanted connectors make great navigational servitors. But I was having none of it. They weren't going to make a servitor out of me, so I escaped into the crawlways. And then I spent months picking them off, one after the other.
Raver stops abruptly.
You got me talking up a storm. Anyway, yes, I'm a Voidborn.
finish your story, Reaver.
Raver stays silent for a few seconds.
Not much to tell. I gutted everyone I could get to, and then I fled upward, to the middle decks. That's where the auger operators took me under their wing. They have apprentice helmsmen of their own up there, you see. Nobody asked me any questions, so I stayed. I grew up, trained, got smarter. Then ended up a junior helmsman. A dozen years later, Danrock spotted me and lured me away, the cheeky blighter.
Do you know anything about a ship named Fiery Reckoning?
Raver winces as if in pain.
I've heard the name, that much I'm sure of, but I can't recall the details. I wonder if it was part of that operation that the late Mort was put in charge of. If it was, then there's nothing I can tell you, Lord Captain. The whole thing was kept under wraps. Your best chance would be to ask the High Factotum. Maybe some of his treasury records have mentions of this fiery reckoning.
Okay, tell me about the Void Boy. I mean, don't expect. It's better to find someone with a natural conversation, like Toyman. New Box Master, I ain't talking, so I just get shit where it needs to go. Better let people stick to what they do best. Alright, what can you tell me about the other officers? Good for nothing wasters.
Good for nothing wasters, that's what they are. Each and every one. Take Janry's Danrock, that highborn weasel. He fawns over the officers, but some of the deals he makes would get him burned alive. He drags other people into his schemes so they can take the fall for him, too. One of my junior helmsmen was ferrying goods from Footfall for him, got caught by the Seneschal, and ended up in the Void Hatch. Danrock couldn't care less.
I believe that. I believe that.
The Vox Master, another Ptolemy like the last one, Void rest him, is no better. She cut off half the Vox channels the day she took up her post. Said the Vox systems were damaged and the Enginarium had no contact with other modules, but how am I supposed to steer the ship? Collect the COGS reports with the power of my mind?
Okay. Her Ptolemy's like the last one. Void rest him is no better. She cuts off half the Vox channels. Okay, so we need to work on that, right?
First Officer Verserian, I can't stand him. Like every Navy officer I ever met, he doesn't know a thing about controlling a vessel in the void, but he puffs himself up all the same and throws his weight around. Me and him had to have words a few times before he left me alone. Thank the Emperor Lady Theodora trusted me more than the Seneschal when it came to helming a void ship.
Right, well... Okay. Go on.
Then there's that woman, what's her name? Flass? Lady Theodora brought her along wherever she went, and look what happened to her. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out it was that witch that delivered her to an early grave, just like countless souls before. I don't see why anyone would want that walking calamity on their ship, but some would disagree. They say she's friends with young Ptolemy, you know. Or at least, she used to be.
Alright, tell me, is anyone that you like at all?
Raver looks perplexed.
What kind of a question is that? I like you. And Lady Theodora before you. Where would I be if I was making cracks about the rogue traitor? I don't want to die just yet.
I didn't mean that way. Okay, I must take my leave. Lord Captain. Alright. Everybody's terrified, man. Alright. Well, okay, so he told me the truth, so what can I say? Okay, so I am concerned about the lack of Vox channels to Enginarium. I wonder what the story is with that. I need to speak to this guy.
The vessel stands ready, Lord Captain.
Thank you. All right. I'm ready. Heinrich Montag, the Infernus Master.
The Infernus Master nonchalantly lights a low stick from a thermal cutter and spreads his arms in a welcoming gesture.
Heinrich Montag, at your service.
He smells of cinders and low, his face is sooty, and his belt is laden with a number of heavy tools.
He's the armorer.
You would have taken him for a laborer if it weren't for the greasy and ragged officer's uniform. He narrows his eyes, studying your face, then says with visible relief.
It's only tales after all. You just don't look like a bringer of woes to me.
Okay, what's that about bringer of woes?
Do I even need to say it? The moment you came aboard, Lady Theodora perished. So did her arch-militant, as well as half of the senior officers and a quarter of the Infernus Guild along with the previous Infernus Master. What's worse, rations don't taste as good anymore, fire burns hotter, and that sinister look in your eyes like you're about to put a curse on someone.
Heinrich grins.
It's what the Void's men say, so it must be true.
Rations don't taste as good. Fire burns hotter. Ludicrous nonsense. Don't let it get you. They'll get more of it soon enough. Okay. So how did you come to be in the service of Von Valencia's dynasty? Even though it is really all true.
Not in the usual way. My ancestors wronged yours and were appointed Inferni as a result. Hard labor, deadly risks, plenty of opportunities to atone. Those criminals have been dead for generations, but we are still serving their time. Maybe we will find redemption one day.
Okay, so tell me about the Infernus Guild.
What interests you the most? Our duty, our state-of-the-art equipment, or our vibrant traditions?
How's the guild organized?
The Infernus service is split into different brigades according to duties. The heart of the guild are, of course, our liquidators, tough guys with nerves of steel, who put out fires and pull people from the flames. Others are repairmen, dealing with problems like jammed doors, fuel leaks, or broken vents. And then there's the walking inspectors, who check the decks to make sure that nothing is blocking any passages or access to communication lines.
State-of-the-art equipment? That sounds interesting.
The Infernus Master smiles guiltily.
That was a bit of a stretch, I'm sorry. There is no state-of-the-art equipment. The risks of ruining it in a fire are too great. We get by using human resources and the most common items available: respirators, fire extinguishers, and flame-retardant uniforms. Let's face it, the lives of the Inferni are not worth much. It's more important that we save the machines and minimize damage to the ship.
I see. So what are your traditions?
We have plenty of those, like the reminders.
Heinrich rolls up his sleeve, revealing a tattoo inscribed over an old burn mark.
When you survive a particularly hopeless accident, you get a tattoo on your scar. You can always tell an experienced Infernus by their ink. It's like a badge of honor of sorts.
Alright, tell me how you got your reminders.
He points to a tattoo on his right forearm.
This one is from the time plasma leaked from the outer aft circuit.
Whoa.
Imagine yourself clinging to the hull outside, thermal cutter in one hand and a magnetic clamp in other. Azure flames burst from the breach, the kind that can incinerate you in a second. All that separates you from death is a flimsy rope and a void suit more ancient than Holy Terra. And yet the price I paid was nothing compared to my comrades.
He slowly moves the augmented fingers of his right hand.
Wow.
As for this one,
The look he directs at his left hand is full of bitterness.
I got this one in the ammo depot where my wife Elsinora died. There was a fire, and the flames were getting close to the ammunition. And I don't mean autogun rounds, these were macro cannon shells.
Wow.
We put out the fire as best we could, but we were losing. Suddenly, Elsie took my hand, kissed me, and then ran straight into the blaze and activated the emergency blast door. We stayed outside while she vented the compartment.
Heinrich gives a tender smile, gazing at the smoke.
It was quite a story.
I'm sorry for your loss, Heinrich.
He nods gratefully and takes another puff.
Okay, I've learned all I need. What shall we talk about? It's not for now, Heinrich.
Never let your fire go out, Lord Captain, I mean, no.
Heinrich hurriedly waves his hands.
That's just a stupid little guild in-joke. Seriously, if you see an infernus next to a naked flame, run.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Time to get on the way.